Okay, today we are going to take a quick overview of the transcript setup process. It's always good to double check those settings so there are no issues when you are releasing the e-transcripts. This work should typically be done at the beginning of each year, but it's always good to double check to ensure your students aren't impacted by not being able to get their transcripts to their school or schools of choice quickly. With the end of the school year approaching, it's good to be ready to start releasing transcripts and have a plan to ensure transcripts can be requested and received over the summer months. Parchment has tools available to help ease the burden on the high schools. First, we want to make sure that the electronic release setup is in place by going to System Admin, Preferences, Transcripts Electronic Release Setup in Infinite Campus. This is to check to make sure you have the API set up. These are the fields you would need to fill in from Parchment to get the API to connect so those records can be released. If you are unsure what needs to be in these fields, please go to Electronic Release Editor Fields link that will take you to Campus Community for more information. The College Entrance Examination Board, or the CEEB school number, must be set up for every school for your API to work. This is extremely important to have set up correctly to make sure your school has their CEB number. You will need to go to System Admin, Resources, School, CEEB number in Infinite Campus. Credit group setup. E-transcript only includes credits from credit groups with a PESC name and credit group details. Only credit groups for high school credits should use a PESC name. Credit groups define how credits are earned by students that are counted on the transcripts and are used in tracking a student's progress towards graduation. To ensure this is set up correctly, go to Grading and Standards, Credit Groups, and Infinite Campus. PESC mapping assessments. To make sure the PESC mapping for assessments are set up correctly, go to Assessment, Test Setup in Infinite Campus. The PESC test and the PESC subtest options for assessments that post to e-transcripts need to be verified. For the ACT test to show up on the e-transcript, you must have each test set up with necessary settings. KDE's agreement with ACT allows displaying state-administered ACT assessment scores on transcripts. However, districts should be familiar with their local agreements with ACT as to what data can be provided to third parties before posting to transcripts.
And that is still I'm going to jump in, Sarah, on this one because we had this come up recently. That is still a district decision. If you don't want ACT is not required. It was required by colleges back when we originally did this. It's no longer required. If you want to turn off the ACT and not have that appear on the transcript, that is your decision. Where as at state level, you can, we set it up just to make it easier to see the one assessment. You have the option of turning on the national ACT if that's inconsistent with your agreements with ACT, or you have the ability to turn off ACT and not have it appear. And if you've got a parent that just doesn't want it, it's okay to take it off for a parent.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, PESC mapping for diploma type. You will want to verify difficulty level and diploma type. Graduation dates will not display on e-transcripts without the diploma type being PESC mapped. To make sure that this has been set up correctly, go to System Admin, Data Defining Tools, Code Defying in Infinite Campus, or go to the Data Standard e-transcript for the setup process. PESC mapping for grade setup. You will want to make sure that the grade level definitions is correctly set up in Infinite Campus. Go to System Admin, Resources, Grade Level Definitions. This requires a PESC grade mapping, so for it to submit to the e-transcript that you want to send. Once you click on the grade level in the Grade Level Definitions editor, you will be able to see the grade level in the PESC mapping column to make sure that the grades match. Any courses taken while in a grade level that is not PESC mapped will not display on transcripts. Report setup needs to be verified by going to System Admin, Preferences, Reports, and Infinite Campus to make sure your printable transcripts and your e-transcripts are both set up correctly, especially for your e-transcript and submitting it to the batch in order for it to create an XML file so it can be released. E-transcript reports must be set up for all calendars releasing e-transcript, including those years needed for alumni transcripts. You will also want to make sure you roll forward each year the report preferences. KDE has 2 Kentucky Standard e-transcript reports, the e-transcript Kentucky Standard in Progress report, and this report should be used to release transcripts for current students to show in progress work, and the e-transcript Kentucky Standard Final report, which should be used for current graduates once all graduation data is posted and for alumni requests. Do not edit the Kentucky Standard reports. If a school has a need for additional reports, then create a new e-transcript report with the desired report preference. See Campus Community e-transcript report preferences documentation for details on these options. If your district is using state seals, the state seal preference must be added to the e-transcript report preferences. This is a new option. I have mentioned before not to edit the preferences for the e-transcript Kentucky Standard Progress and the Standard Final report. However, for the state seal to show on the e-transcripts, I need you to check the state seal box in the report display options this year. And when you roll forward to next year, you won't have to add the state seal again. So when the state seal preference has been set up, you will want to make sure that the state seal record listed on the student's graduation tab has been completed. If not, the state seal will not be reported on the transcripts. You can enter the state seal information fields by going to the student's information, general, graduation tab, and Infinite Campus. And for more information on the state seal process, please see the graduation data standard. Tool rights for e-transcript functions. To make sure you have the correct tool rights, go to System Admin User Security User Group. Double check that the appropriate individuals have at least read rights to the electronic release tool of the e-transcript batch report and the read rights to electronic release setup. To ensure current transcripts are available for release from the Parchment Credential Library, please release transcripts from Infinite Campus for all impacted students when grades are posted to transcripts, graduation and diploma information has been posted, assessments included on transcripts are published from KDE or posted locally, and students' transcript is manually edited. Universities can't consider the transcript as the final transcript until it has both graduation status and the graduation data included. To generate e-transcript reports by using grade, ad hoc filter options, or by using search for student option by going to Grading and Standards, Reports, e-transcript batch, and Infinite Campus. Once a report has completed, the report can be released. Click the release link in the electronic release column of the batch queue editor. A vendor selection box will open. Select Parchment from the name drop-down list and click OK. A pop-up message indicating electronic release has initiated will display and click OK. When a date and time display in the electronic release column, the e-transcripts that were generated have been released. The status column changes to sending, and when it has sent, then it will change to being released. If there is an issue with the sending of the batch file, the status of error will display. An error occurs when there are missing values in the XML output for a required field or when a connection has failed. When an error occurs, the XML batch file is not released and data is not submitted to the vendor. So here are some great reminders. Remember to make sure all G codes and diploma dates have been posted prior to releasing final transcripts. Run your G code validation high school aggregate report after enrollment and in-batch process is complete to compare the total number of graduates to the total number of diplomas to the diploma dates that have been entered. Also, run your QA course report to make sure courses, GPA weights, and terms and difficulty levels are properly set up correctly. This is also done during the beginning of the year. However, it's good to check to make sure that your setup is correctly before they post your transcripts. Make sure grades have been posted. Make sure to upload all your seniors to Parchment. Verify students' registration codes and registration status on their Parchment user account. Make sure seniors go into their Parchment account and update their school email to their personal email. You want to also make sure you use your e-transcript batch with the e-transcript Kentucky Standard Final Report to send final transcripts. Also make sure that you want to release transcripts timely, ensure someone has responsibility of this task daily. And you also want to have a backup person for that. KDE has a recorded training link that is available on the KDE transcript webpage for a resource for you to use. Okay, so this is a student's view in Parchment to log into their Parchment account and update their school email to a personal email before graduation. I have mentioned this before, but it's really important that they do this before they graduate so they can still access their Parchment account after graduation. Here is also a video link on how to add and edit your email on Parchment to share with your graduating seniors. It's good to have students go ahead and request the final transcripts before they graduate while they are still in school. It's also important to remember that they should indicate hold for grades in their order request. This is a student's view of Parchment when students place their final transcript request. They can select hold for grades, and this will place the request under the hold tab until grades are ready. Make sure grades and end status and graduate dates have been processed before releasing these transcripts. Here is the administrator view in Parchment. You will want to make sure you have completed these steps that Parchment has provided. Make sure that your student roster records and your transcripts have been updated in Infinite Campus. You want to make sure you have confirmed the posting of grades in Parchment account. Make sure you once you complete the confirmation of all hold for grades orders will move to your open orders tab in Parchment. And also make sure that you confirm that the correct transcript has attached to the order in process. Parchment has trainings and technical assistance for you and your seniors. So here are some great resources to take advantage of. So please make sure that when you are having issues that you are calling these member support at Parchment here on this slide, and you're not contacting Infinite Campus because they're not going to be able to help you. So here are some e-transcript resources. It's important to remember that e-transcript benefits your students. Post-secondary schools say the applications that include electronic transcript get processed much quicker, and there are fewer issues with all the data coming in a consistent format and process. KDE's e-transcript page includes resources that can help those processing transcripts. Links available include the e-transcript data standard, school support contacts, frequently asked questions, and training resources. In addition, usage numbers by academic year are available. If you are curious, do a quick search of KDE e-transcripts to find your page, and then click on the link for the 2017 to 2022 usage. You can see how many transcripts have been generated for each of your schools and what the utilization rates are when you're comparing to the 22 grade 12 membership. The transcript counts can include the alumni or younger students too, so this rate is an estimate only. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So looks like we just had one question, and that was about whether we could add a work ethics state seal. All of our state seals so far have been kind of championed by the Office of Teaching and Learning. So that is possible. I mean, there's, I don't think there's a limit on the number of state seals we've got. We've got just with the right KDE folks. We can't put state seals out there just because Dee Dee says. It doesn't go over very well. So, but it is possible. I can try to connect the dots if you want to reach out to me on that and try to get you the right person to talk about at KDE.